Wow, what a day of football today, actually. Madrid lost, United lost to Brentford and Liverpool as well. We'd be looking at the game against Crystal Palace and think, it's going to be a tough game. Liverpool are probably going to go by and just get 3 points. It's not going to be easy, but they're going to try their best to get 3 points. And we actually get the shock and Liverpool lose to a Crystal Palace team that I think over the past last season and this season, they've been very underrated. Because I think Glasner has been very underrated as well. Because what he did with that Crystal Palace team, beating Manchester City in that FA Cup final and playing so well, his system so good. The way players move around in the system is so good. And I think he has turned Mateta into a very, very, very dangerous striker. And it's very good to see that. And it needs to be talked about a lot more. It needs to be talked about a lot more because for Glasner to come into Liverpool, keep in mind he's lost Eze. Eze was arguably Palace's best player. He has lost Eze, and people will probably be thinking, Crystal Palace maybe not going to do that well this season, seeing as they've lost Eze, they almost lost Gehi. But look at them. They're doing okay. They're not doing that bad. Beating Liverpool. Wow, what a day of football today, right? We've got a loss to Madrid. Real Madrid lose today. Manchester United lose today. Chelsea lost today. And now Liverpool have lost today to a very, very good Crystal Palace. I mean, that first half, we could have been, we could have been here at, the second half with Crystal Palace 3 or 4 goals up. They were relentless. Mateta was going crazy. I mean, Glasner needs so much praise. To lose players like Olise, Eze, and still end up performing well against the top teams. He's done well against Manchester City. He has done well against Arsenal. He has done well against Liverpool. Like, these are teams that are very good in the league. And to see a manager Crystal Palace don't necessarily have the best players in the league. And when they did, they did well. And now that they still don't have those quality players in their side with Eze and other players like that, they're still doing well. And I think it's really down to the system. That's why I've said this before. I don't think Amorim's system, I don't think Amorim's formation is the problem. I think his system is the problem in the way that he sends his players out on the field. Because you can look at the way Crystal Palace play, it's still the same 3-4-3 formation. But the way Glasner has set that team up for them to go and perform the way they've performed against teams like Manchester City, teams like Liverpool, it's very, very, very impressive. Glasner, he's turned Mateta into a dangerous, dangerous striker. His first touch, his control, his ability to find a pass, his ability to, make life difficult for a defender. Konate looked lost today playing against Mateta. He has been very, a little bit shaky, Konate, since he's been linked to Real Madrid, but he looked lost today. And it was all because of Mateta. He was going crazy in this game. And Ismaïla Sarr, this is not even the first time he's played well against Liverpool. When he was at Watford, he played very well against them. So it's just a combination of good players in a really good system with a manager that knows what he's doing and what he wants to get from his system. And it's good. It's a good situation to find yourself in if you're a fan of the Premier League, where teams like Liverpool are not coasting to winning the title. Arsenal have dropped points, Liverpool have dropped points. It's good. It's good for everyone. And now the title race is more interesting. When Crystal Palace are up there, I don't think Crystal Palace are going to be winning the Premier League, but they're up there, trying to get European football probably. And it's going to bring in more money into the club and help them out. But yeah, I think it's going to be an opportunity to learn, just like with Xabi Alonso today. Alonso is, going to get an opportunity to learn from that. Maresca, I think, actually is going to get an opportunity to learn because it's the second match that he's gotten a red card. I don't really want to talk about the Chelsea Brighton game because I didn't watch it, so I don't really want to give out analysis of a game that I didn't watch. But the Crystal Palace Liverpool game, first half, I think Alisson, I've said this before, he's a good goalkeeper, probably the best in the league. He prevented this scoreline from probably going to 3-0 or 4-0 in the first half because Crystal Palace were going, they were running Liverpool ragged in the first half. And Arne Slot, you're looking at that thinking, if Crystal Palace are doing this, I got to be thinking about teams like Real Madrid in the Champions League, thinking about other teams in the Champions League and other teams in the Premier League, because other teams would be looking at how Crystal Palace played against Liverpool and probably be thinking that's the way to beat them. That's the way to beat them because they played very well. If it wasn't for Alisson, Liverpool probably loses the game by a lot more. Moving on to Liverpool, we'll go back to Crystal Palace, but I want to talk about Liverpool because coming into this game, as I said earlier, they were expected to win this match, 6 from 6, and people were thinking this was going to be 7 from 7, and unfortunately, that wasn't the case. I said this earlier this season when I think it was against, who was it against? The first game of the season where I said, their defense looks shaky. Your defense looks a little bit shaky. They spent all this money buying Nketiah, Isaac, Vert, Kerkez. And Kerkez is a topic that I've talked about, and I've said this guy looks suspicious, in a sense that he has not played well in the Liverpool shirt. And today was another case where he wasn't necessarily the best player on the pitch, defensively for Liverpool. And you're kind of asking yourself what happened to the Kerkez at Bournemouth. Has he just fallen off? Doesn't he fit the system? So it's a lot of questions. But you look at the money Liverpool have spent in the positions they've spent it in, and you don't see a center back in the team. They've even lost a center back with Jarrell Quansah going to Leverkusen. So you look at the money they've spent in the position they've spent, and you're thinking, where's the center back? Where's the defensive cover? Where's the player that can, provide that defensive cover for us when maybe a Konate isn't playing well or when a Virgil van Dijk isn't playing well, rare as that may be. But it's something you have to look at. Arne Slot, if you're looking at it, there's something you definitely have to look at because you're going to come up against teams that are going to test that defense. They're going to come up against teams that are going to give that defense a run for their money. And it's not going to be all the time that Alisson is going to pull off a good performance today. And even though he did pull off a good performance today, they dropped points. So, you're gonna come up against a team that is gonna exploit Alisson, and you're gonna score goals that Alisson is not going to get on the end of. So you look at that, and there definitely has to be improvement defensively from Arne Slot. I don't know if he's gonna be, I don't even know, because he doesn't really have any other options. He's gonna have to stick with Konate and Van Dijk because there's literally no one else to bring into the team. So maybe you have to find a way to fix that. Mo Salah, I don't know what's going on with Salah. It's weird because looking at how he played last season to what he's playing this season, it's like, what happened? What's going on? Is it the introduction of these new players like Vert, Isaac, Nketiah? Is he feeling a little bit unneeded in the club? Is there no motivation? Has the system changed? Because you can see last season, everything was focused on Mohamed Salah. Everything was trying to pass the ball to Salah, give the ball to Salah, and Salah played well. But this season, it feels like they're moving a little bit away from that, and maybe he is feeling a little bit demotivated by that and thinking he's not that needed in the team as well. That could affect player mentality as well. But I really don't know what I'm, having to say about Salah because he's not playing well. He's definitely not playing well, and this is actually the worst I've seen him play since he came to Liverpool. So it's very weird that's happened. And again, learning opportunities today for a lot of managers. A lot of managers are going to have to go back to the drawing board and, reevaluate their decisions and their systems and how to handle situations. But it's a good win for Crystal Palace. It's a good advert for the Premier League. And it's a good thing for the title race that this loss happened to Liverpool because it makes it more interesting. It makes the title race tighter. Now we're not going to see Liverpool win 7 from 7. I mean, if Liverpool won 7 from 7, with Arsenal going to Newcastle where they could easily drop points, you're kind of thinking, are Liverpool going to win this league by Christmas? We might have seen Liverpool win the league by Halloween. So, yeah, to see Crystal Palace get points from them and to see a team that is not generally or, culturally in the top 4 or top 5 be in that conversation this season is very, very interesting. I think Glasner, underrated manager, definitely deserves his flowers and deserves a win today. He did very well. He has done very well. To lose the quality of players he has lost and to still perform like this is very, very, very impressive. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. As usual, any feedback from you guys would be greatly appreciated.